when the wise refuse to be distracted. So, you guys, I want you to understand that division is loud, wisdom is stronger. So, let's take a breath together. Before we start arguing again, let's remember who we are, because we are living in a time where everybody is arguing, everybody is picking a side, and everybody is tired. And when I say tired, I don't just mean sleepy. I mean soul tired. Underneath the noise, underneath the red and blue jerseys, underneath the cable news shouting matches, and the social media food fights, there's something deeper going on. And our seniors see it. Because when you've lived long enough, when you've raised children, buried parents, paid mortgages, survived recessions, wars, and political cycles that repeat themselves like seasons, well, you develop a different kind of vision. You recognize distractions. And right now we are being told to fight over culture, over party, over personalities. Meanwhile, the real question about power, protection, and accountability sit quietly in the background. When scandals surface involving wealthy, well-connected individuals, what most Americans feel isn't just outrage, it's exhaustion. Exhaustion from wondering whether the rules are really the same for everyone. Exhaustion from watching powerful people appear untouched while everyday families struggle with grocery bills, medical costs, housing, and safety. And let me say this clearly. This is not a left issue, and this is not a right issue. This is a justice issue. As seniors, as the generation that built this country, defended, taught in its schools, worked in its factories, started its small businesses, prayed in its churches, you understand something younger generations are still learning. When leaders fail to protect women, children, and vulnerable people, well, the entire moral fabric of a nation begins to fray. And when abuse is whispered about, but never fully confronted, well, then trust erodes. We cannot afford to let distractions keep us divided while the elephant in the room goes unaddressed, because it makes sense to keep people fighting. If we're busy arguing with each other, we won't ask hard questions about who holds power. If we're fighting our neighbors, we won't notice who benefits from the fight. But seniors know better. You've seen eras of reform before. You've seen moments when farmers, workers, church leaders, parents, and everyday citizens decided enough was enough. Not in violence, not in chaos, but in unity. Change has never come from screaming the loudest, as we saw with Martin Luther King. It has always come from standing together, the strongest. At Secure 65 Health Plans, we talk about protection every day. We talk about Medicare. We talk about long-term care. We talk about life insurance. But protection is not just paperwork. Protection is a principle, and that principle must extend beyond policies and premiums. It must extend to our women, extend to our men, extend to our children, to every person who has ever been silenced, manipulated, or violated by someone who believed they were untouchable. So if nothing else unites us, this should. We can disagree on tax policy. We can debate elections. We can argue strategy. But we should never, ever disagree on protecting the vulnerable. We should never disagree on accountability. We should never, ever disagree on truth. Because when truth becomes optional, justice becomes impossible. And here's the part we have to face with maturity. If we allow ourselves to be constantly distracted, we become captives, not physically, but mentally. Captive to outrage cycles, captive to misinformation, captive to narratives designed to keep us emotionally reactive instead of strategically unified. Most seniors are not reactive, and most seniors are reflective. You have the power to call your children and grandchildren and say, pause for a minute, you guys. Let's think. Let's look at the bigger picture. You have the credibility to say, we may vote differently, but we stand together on protecting people. That kind of unity is powerful. That kind of unity cannot be manipulated. This moment is not about one headline. It's about whether we believe no one is above the law. It's about whether wealth or influence should ever shield wrongdoing. It's about whether we choose courage over comfort. History shows that reform happens when ordinary people realize they have more in common with each other than with those who benefit from their division. And seniors, you are the bridge right now. You are the steady hand. You are the moral memory of this country. You've seen a lot. So here's my challenge to us as a Secure 65 healthcare community. Let's refuse to be distracted. Let's refuse to be divided. Let's refuse to be manipulated into fighting each other while serious issues go unnoticed. Let's stand for our women. Let's stand for our men. And let's stand for our children. Let's stand for accountability, calmly, intelligently, strategically. Because anger alone doesn't fix a nation. But courage, guided by wisdom, can. And I want you to remember this. A nation does not collapse because its people disagree. It collapses when its people stop demanding integrity. Yes, division is loud, but unity is powerful. And when the wise stand together, even the mightiest must answer. We have to do better, not louder, not meaner, better. And better starts with us. I'm Monet Swan, and this is Secure 65 Health Plans for a better future for all of us.